I am Chief Baba Olugbala Shongo Obadina, the Aboboga Iliwo Jise.
Okay. What is your childhood name and birthplace?
Columbus, Ohio.
And your childhood name?
I can't remember.
Then tell us about your childhood.
Oh, I grew up in Columbus, Ohio in a poor neighborhood. I didn't realize I was poor until I became a teenager. I was born in the Edwards family. We lived at 185 Birch Street. I went to St. Cyprian's Elementary School. I went to Eastwood Avenue School. I went to Ohio Avenue Day School. I went to Champion Junior High, East High, Worthington High, and graduated from Central Evening High School. I spent 2 years at Ohio State, majored in sociology, dropped out due to grades, and joined VISTA, which is Volunteers in Service to America. And then I went to Boston to do my intern of 2 years doing community organizing in the South End of Boston. After that, I joined the Plumbers Union there. I was 10th black to be allowed to go in that union. 6 years, I got my state of Massachusetts plumber's license. After that, I came back to Columbus seeking work. From Columbus, I went to Atlanta, Georgia, seeking work. And then I went back to Boston for a short period, and then to Canada, worked in Irving Ore Refineries, St. John's, New Brunswick. At this time, this is probably around 1975. After that, I came back to Columbus seeking work. Finally got employment through the Plumbers Union here, Local 189. Most of my friends here were visual artists, and I saw a need for us to have our own gallery, a place to show our work, and I used the communication skills that Vista taught me, organized the artists, and started the art gallery. We bought the house in '76 for $200. We incorporated to Urban Cultural Arts Foundation in 1978. And in 1989, we opened to the public February for Black History Month. And we've been going strong ever since. That's about 41 years ago.
All right, sir. And, what's your strongest memory as a child?
Probably growing up in Poindexter Village, feeling very protective. Meeting Mr. Ward at the Holiday Care Center, I think he probably had the greatest influence on me. He fed me, gave me plenty of wisdom, knowledge, opportunity to become a ham radio operator, opportunity to make things out of wood. Eventually remodeling his home in Lucy Depp Park. So I got building skills, little plumbing skills. He told me to go to Boston. I did. And he had a great amount of influence on a lot of kids who went through the Holiday Care Center.
Growing up as a man, what were your ambitions and aspirations?
probably one was to have a trade or a skill where I could have a good livelihood. Always to seek knowledge, wisdom, above all understanding. And to create things. Use my mind as well as my hands.
Then what is your first job?
My first job? Very first job?
Yes.
Probably a paper boy. First real job.
Then what inspired you to do art?
I think just by being around artists, hanging out with them being my friends.
Then why did you choose wood carving?
That too, probably hanging out around my friends who were wood carvers. I like wood because it was alive. You can work with it. I like working with wood. I like working with copper, and I like working with leather. Those are my three main mediums that I like to work with.
Then what leads to the name Shongo Obadina?
Back in 1971, I went to Beaufort, South Carolina. Baba Surgeman had started an African village there, and I went there and I was initiated into the Shongo cult, and that's how I got the name Shongo. And Obadina means king who arrived by fire, so that's more or less like the road of life that I have to travel. So that's how I got the name Shongo Obadina. Before then, my name was Baba Olukbala. They thought Obatala had my head, but when it was time to be initiated, Shongo said, no, I have his head.
Then how did you become a chief?
I became a chief 2 times. Once in the village in South Carolina, Baba Surgeman made me a chief when I was chief. And then I went to Oshobo, Nigeria back in 97, and with Miss Bintun Ali, twin 77, first wife. She introduced me to Oba there, and he made me a chief and gave me the title Chief Baba Olubala Shongo Obadina, the Oboboga of Iliwo Ijise. That just means he who helps support the Oba. So I'm like a servant, which is a very comfortable role to be in, a role to play.
Then how did you come about having a gallery? I mean, what is the need for you then to come up with a gallery?
Oh, as I said before, most of my friends here were visual artists, and I took the skills that Vista had taught me for community organizing, and I just organized them. I said, hey, we need our own gallery. So the gallery was built for artists by artists, which makes it a little unique in its sense. And it was kind of hand built. Anybody I could get to help to build, I said, this is going to be a community gallery, you should help. If I could get them to work without pay, I would. If I had to pay them, I paid them. I had winos come by, I had people out of prisons, I've had artists, I have children. Everyone helped to create the gallery through the years.
Then how did you transform the gallery to what it is now?
Just by maintaining, working with what I had and working with who was around me at the time. we always try to stay on the leading, cutting edge, and we seem to be able to have been able to do that. Willing to work with people, different people. We use the gallery somewhat like a co-op, where you are incubated. If you have an idea or program, you can be allowed to facilitate it or put it in. We've had shows, traveling shows. We've had our European American show, which is all white people shows. We've had shows from Germany shows, Chinese shows, African shows. At first we started off to be just predominantly African and African American gallery, but through the years we've become secure and know who we are, and we can expand and allow other people or other cultures and nationalities to participate and be a part of our programming and our art shows. Sometimes we have guest curators, and many people have come through the gallery and who weren't artists and are now who are artists. So a lot of people have gotten different experiences there and education and training there through the years, and have gone on to do bigger and greater things. We just give them an opportunity, whereas major galleries or other institutions might not be available to them.
Okay. How many artists have you inspired?
Oh, I don't know if I've inspired anybody. If you're saying how many artists who've come through the gallery, I don't know. A lot through the years. We've had a traveling show where we had 29 artists in the traveling show and 65 pieces, and it went from Schumacher Gallery at Capital University to the Works in Cleveland, and we had a show in Akron, and then we had a show in Cincinnati, and we brought it back to Columbus. So that was then, and I don't know, hundreds.
All right. Can you remember a few of the names of artists that have passed through the gallery?
Oh, of course. Amina Robinson, Ed Coaston's probably my favorite. Furious West, Larry Collins, Ben Crumpler, Bentun Ali, Sabine Lampe, Yashui. The thing about naming names is you'll forget somebody and they'll say, "Ah, you forgot me," but Shelby Harrison, many more.
How do you get funding for the gallery?
Predominantly the funding comes from my labor as being a plumber, a union plumber. As a union plumber, I've had a steady income and helped to build many of the high rises that you see downtown. Either I help with the plumbing or the heating system. Many of the hospitals, Riverside, I was there 4 years, House State Universities, Honda plant, Mead paper mill. That's predominantly 95% of the gallery. Periodically I have gotten grants from the Ohio Art Council, Columbus Foundation, Greater Columbus Art Council. But those have been few and far in between. Part of the problem is that I'm not qualified to write grants, and those who are want to be compensated for writing grants, and so that's always been a problem, just writing grants to ask for the money that is maybe due the gallery through the programs and We are a non-profit organization. We incorporated under the Urban Cultural Arts Foundation in 1978, so we do qualify. It's just having people with the capabilities of writing these grants. We've had Sabine Lampe. She's my dear friend from Germany. She's very good at writing grants, but like I say, she's in Germany.
All right. What's your view about African American arts and culture?
My view? Oh. It's very strong. It's very potent. It's very powerful. The thing about artists, I think artists are special people in that they take in what's happening in their environment and what's surrounding, and then they create some images or objects to depict whatever's happening. So when you look at and study great civilization, what do you study? You study what the artist left behind. So they have a very important role in society. They can also help to influence society by the things that they create. You know, they can create positive things, or they can create negative images or positive images. They have a certain amount of influence, kind of like the Pied Piper. They get a following. So they have a special place and they have a special responsibility, I see. And African Americans or Africans, they've been doing art since the beginning of the time. And so they're very good at it.
All right. What makes you happy?
One thing I do not say on this video that makes me happy, but to think of something else that made me happy. I think relationships, good relationships make me happy. Communicating, exchanging in a relationship. You know, it's not a relationship where you're just constantly giving or you're constantly receiving, but when it can go back and forth, you know, you give something, they give something, and you can help feed or perpetuate the. I think a good relationship make me happy. Creating something certainly makes me happy.
Then what makes you angry? Anything?
Stupidity. It's probably like it makes me angry. You know.
Then what's your happiest moment about your art?
Oh, just doing it. Sometimes you can get in a groove or a trance. Music helps. You know, just be packing away.
How does the community embrace the gallery?
I think you probably best ask someone else than ask me that question. I certainly think it's respected. We've been around so long and we've done so many positive things, and there's probably some mixed emotions about it. Our neighborhood is being very much gentrified, so the new European Americans who are displacing the indigenous African American who's traditionally lived there in the past. They may like it or not like it, I don't know. I know they had me in court 2.5 years over a sign I had above my door. It says, had my name and address on it. Some of my European American neighbors didn't like the idea of me having my African name on my door. And they took me to environmental court for 2.5 years. Wasted my time and energy and created a lot of anxiety. And, but the sign is still there, you know. It's still there.
What superpower would you love to have and why?
Oh, what superpower? I think maybe the ability to go into someone's mind and feel what they feel, see what they think. You know, like sometimes you might see a person with some physical handicap and you wonder, you see the physical part, but you don't know the mental or the spiritual part. You don't know if they're thinking normally or whatever. So the ability to jump in their body just for a moment, not too long, to be able to feel what they feel and know how they think. And I think that would probably interest me the most as I think about it. Not to fly or the lightning bolts.
Then what is your dream project?
My dream project, I think I've pretty much done whatever I wanted to do in life. I'm at the age now where I would just like to continue to create my artwork, carving, tell stories, continue the African tradition of patikis, telling stories through carvings. Have a good partner, companion, mate, and a healthy body for as long as I can.
Can you name
And
three?
not run out of money.
All right. Can you name 3 artists you would like to be compared with?
No.
I mean, like colleagues, compatriots.
Compared with?
Yes.
No, I can't. Because everyone's different. And there's some that I would like to have the ability to carve like, but even those, I wouldn't compare myself with them. I think they're much greater than I am. But I wouldn't mind having some of their skills and abilities to learn from, such as yourself.
Can you please name the artist that inspired you to what you do?
I would have to say number 1, Amina Robinson. Certainly one to certainly inspired me probably the most. Roman Johnson, Tom Pannell, Rick Boughton. Rick Boughton was married to one of the Wolf's daughter. He was a wood carver. He learned to carve in the Navy in Hawaii. And he came back and taught Tom Pannell, and I hung around with them and picked up from them.
All right. Where do you get the inspirations to carve your art forms and figures from?
Well, like I say, I want to carry on the tradition of doing Pataki storytelling. I don't have the skills or the ability to draw well, so most of my carvings are done out of collaboration. I may have an artist friend and I'll tell them the story, and then they'll draw it, and then I carve and paint what they draw. I've used Amina Robinson earlier, did a lot of my drawings. Tom Pannell did a lot of my drawings for carving. Bintun Onali from Oshobo, Nigeria has done a lot. And recently, Benjamin Crumpler, I've done a series of his. And lately, I've got you to do a bunch for me, which would probably be my best. I plan to have a one-man show this coming August, the 3rd Sunday in August at the William H. Thomas Gallery, year 2019.
What's the favorite or most inspirational place you would like to always visit?
Wow. I guess Africa, Nigeria. Although sometimes can seem a little scary. But yes, I've learned a lot there. It was unbelievable. I would like to go back. I need to go back.
All right. Then what's the best piece of advice you have ever been given?
I guess it's from Miss Francis. She was the cook at the All Day Care Center, and she was Seventh-day Adventist, and she always said, pray for wisdom and knowledge, and above all, understanding. And then I would have to think the second one would be what my grandmother said when I was just a child, and she said, we have to figure out a plan how to steal the biscuit out of the white man's hand. And then I told that to my German friend Sabine, and she said, why you want to steal the white man's biscuit? Why don't you go bake your own biscuit? And I don't think she understood that I'm trying to say, I'm just trying to get back what was taken from me.
What's the best piece of advice you have for upcoming artists?
Produce. Just keep producing. Produce, 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 produce.
All right. Professionally, what's your goal?
Oh. Professionally, my goal is to find a way for the gallery to be self-sufficient without me using my money.
All right. What is your general opinion about art in general?
Art is you have life, but art adds value to that life. You know, art is a way of life also. Art is practicing something, mastering something, doing something in a meaningful, planned way.
All right. Thank you very much for the opportunity to interview you, Baba.
Oh, thank you. The pleasure's mine.
Odabo.
Odabo.